When you hear the word celebrities, what comes to mind? Glitz, lights and cameras? Well, for us on Reminisce, there are those whose lives are worth celebrating.
Today on Reminisce, we celebrate Nigeria's first Prime Minister, Alhaji Sir Abubakar Tafawa Balewa. Abubakar Tafawa Balewa was born in Bauchi State in December 1912. There, he had his early education at the Quranic School and Bauchi Middle School. But his desire for higher knowledge and professional background took him to Katsina Teachers Training College in 1928 to acquire a teaching certificate in 1933.
His love for home brought him back to his birthplace and school to pay his dues as a teacher in English and then the headmaster of the Bauchi Middle School. Later on in 1944, he was one of a few lucky Northern teachers flown out for a year course at the London Institute of Education. There he received another teaching certificate in history.
And when he returned home, he was made the inspector of schools for the colonial administration. By the way, Abubakar Tafawa Balewa lived most of his life during the British colonial rule in Nigeria.
Stung by the bug to govern, Tafawa Balewa got into politics. He joined fellow nationalists in their struggle to greater participation in the affairs of the country. His initial motive was to protect the interests of the North, its zone of origin. At a time, regionalism was the order of the day. And so he was elected into the colony's Northern House of Assembly in 1946. 1 year after, he was chosen to represent the North as a member of the Nigerian Legislative Council. Then in 1949, Tafawa Balewa and Alhaji Ahmadu Bello founded the Northern People's Congress (NPC), a cultural organization which later turned into a political party in 1951. He became the Minister of Works in 1952 and then the Minister of Transport in 1954.
That's right. Tafawa Balewa was also appointed the Prime Minister of the All Nigeria Federal Executive Council in 1957. This was at a time regionalism gave way to a concerted effort towards an independent Nigeria, and this informed his decision to lead his NPC party to forming a coalition with the National Council of Nigeria and the Cameroons Party (NCNC) and the Action Group Party (AG), both led by Nnamdi Azikiwe and Obafemi Awolowo respectively. Together with these other major political parties from the East and West, he formed the governments that eventually led the country to the emancipation from the British clutch 3 years after. And so in 1960, Nigeria became a self-governed state.
Tafawa Balewa maintained his post as Prime Minister at Nigeria's independence in 1960 and doubled as Nigeria's Foreign Minister for 1 year. He relinquished the ministerial position to Jaja Nwachukwu, who became Nigerian Minister of Foreign Affairs and Commonwealth Relations from 1961 to 1965. Balewa again got re-elected as Nigerian Prime Minister in 1964. His life was such a continuous rise in leadership and service. What other things did he do?
As one of Africa's leaders, he played an important role in the formation of the Organization of African Unity in 1960, what we now know as the African Union.
Oh yes, he improved relations with our French-speaking fellow African countries. He also brokered peace between a Congolese politician, Moise Tshombe, and the Congolese authorities during the Congo crisis of 1960 to 1964.
He led a vocal protest against the massacre in Sharpeville, South Africa, which took place in 1960. Condemning South Africa's racial policies, he allied with Commonwealth ministers to oust South Africa from the Commonwealth in 1961.
Do you know he was knighted by Queen Elizabeth II of the United Kingdom?
You don't say! I also know he was awarded an honorary doctorate from the University of Sheffield in May 1960.
Yes, he was. Nevertheless, his journey wasn't all the way smooth. The 1954 regional political framework created division among the three major regions, the North, the East and the West. This later brought about violent regional differences that frequently threatened his government when he was the Prime Minister.
In 1965, election crisis in the Obafemi Awolowo-led Western region marred his government, generating protest and condemnation because he charged and convicted Awolowo for treason. Uneasy lies the head that wears the crown, you may say.
Very true. Sadly also, his government was overthrown in the military coup of January 15, 1966. He was killed in the coup along with other prominent leaders of the time. He was laid to rest back home, his birthplace in Bauchi.
Alhaji Sir Abubakar Tafawa Balewa was a scholar, an instructor, an administrator, and a reputed Nigerian politician and leader, whose hard work and resilience brought him to the fore as the first Nigerian Prime Minister and a respected African leader within and outside the continent of Africa.
Today, he is remembered in the country through various national symbols, and we remember him on Reminisce.